David, have you ever popped a Lil Xan before?
Ironically, I don't even know what Xans really are.
You don't know Xanax?
No, I do. I just want
I was
to
going to say,
joke.
you're too mentally healthy, so maybe you don't know what anxiety is.
I will say ironic that his name is Little Xan. He named the album Total Xanarchy, and like one of the first songs is him singing about how he doesn't depend on Xans. So
You also saw the top comment on the YouTube video that has this music.
I did.
Yes. Nice.
I absolutely did.
Hello and welcome back to the Uncultured Pop Culture Podcast. I'm your co-host, Brandon, and with me, as always, is your other co-host,
David. And guys, my tail is waving through the air right now.
Yes, mine is too. We are so excited to bring you the second edition of the worst album and worst movie that we've ever listened to. And I'm sure we'll talk about if this is actually worse than last year, because we have a pretty low bar to clear from last year. I mean, last season's edition of this episode had us listen to 143 by Katy Perry, which both of us rated a 1.5. And Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's maybe best movie ever, some are saying. And I think both of us rated it a 1, if I remember correctly.
That's true. I don't even remember what I rated the album, honestly.
It was a 1.5. I know because we did the same score. And because we were both like, this is bad, but it's not the worst thing ever. Like, you got to leave room.
True.
And we're leaving room for this year because we can decrease even further than last year. So strap in, everybody. We got a great episode for you today. I have a lot to say about this music. But before we get into all of that, I have to ask David, what did you watch in this past week? And are you going to bring up the fact that I was in LA, or should I do that?
I mean, I am absolutely going to bring up the fact that you were in LA. We finally saw each other face to face.
We did. I have multiple pictures of David flipping me off, and That's basically it.
That's all we did, honestly.
The first episode we did apart last year was Megalopolis in 143.
That's
right. And now,
right.
after seeing each other, this is just a coincidence. Now, after seeing each other, we're doing the worst episode ever, part 2. So, very exciting. But David, what did you watch in this past week?
Considering that it's been a little while since we've recorded, I'm going to talk about Backrooms. It was fun. It was just very At least to me, it felt like the type of movie where they just added a bunch of stuff so that it would be like the length of a movie, if that makes any sense. Which I think makes sense knowing that it's based off of creepypasta and a web series. Like, you can kind of tell it is. I think a lot of like the horror parts of it in the Backrooms is very well done. But like the characters and the story they introduce with the characters is just feels like it's just added in for the sake of padding the runtime. And I will say, once the main monster is revealed, it's not scary. Like, I was just like, yeah, I'm not scared at all. So the third act kind of did go off the rails in a way for me. But I will say it's still like effectively scary in some parts. It's also, directed by Kane Parsons, who's 20. And he certainly did a much better job than I could ever do, even at like age 26. So kudos to him. I think it's amazing that 20-year-olds are getting their chance finally in Hollywood, it seems. So yeah, it's a 3. I have to ask you, what have you been listening to over the past couple of weeks?
I got 3 things to tell you, David. I listened to all 3 Drake albums.
Whoa.
Maid of Honor is the first one I listened to. I rated it a 2 out of 5, and I said musically, a lot of it is interesting and well made, but so many of the songs are complete duds. The first 2 and tracks 12 and 13 are the ones that actually feel like songs. And then you have essentially an album worth of material in between there that's just like, why? I am not a Drake hater. I grew up listening to Drake's music. He's one of the artists that got me into rap as well. That's kind of a typical like white person story, so oh well. But I don't feel like he's put out good music in a while. Second album is called Habibti. This album says nothing new and explores nothing new sonically. It sounds like if Take Care sucked. I gave this a 1.5 out of 5. I don't think there was a song on there that I liked. Album number 3, Iceman. This is the best of the three. I'm not sure Drake is capable of making a great album anymore, so this might be the best that we get. A lot of the album, though, is reflecting on the beef with Kendrick Lamar, and that doesn't always work like he seems to think it does. However, I think that this is probably his best album since 2018, but those are the three albums I listened to. They were fine.
When do you think was his last good album?
I don't remember if Scorpion is good. It's fucking long as hell. It's like 20 some songs, and I don't want to deal with that. But I remember listening to Views in 2016. I remember listening to More Life in 2017. I think both of those are solid projects. Last great album was definitely If You're Reading This, It's Too Late from 2015, which was technically a mixtape, but it was good. A lot of it was probably ghostwritten. But we have an album to talk about this week. A rap album to talk about this week, which was definitely not ghostwritten.
You can tell.
Because this is Total Xanarchy, the debut album by Lil Xan, released April 6th, 2018 by Columbia Records. It was supported by 8 singles, all released before the album. And you may be noticing, this album is not on streaming. It was taken off recently. I don't know if Lil Xan is embarrassed by it. I don't know if he essentially kind of came to his senses and was like, I want to move in a different direction. Could be any of those things. We listened to it on a YouTube video that has all of the songs.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, go find it there. Maybe I'll link it in the description. I probably will, because it's good to hear, if you want to know what we're talking about.
I will say though, if you skip this one, I think it's okay.
You got to listen to one
our
song.
Thoughts.
You got to listen
to one song.
I would say listen to our least favorite songs, which would probably be 2. Maybe it's only 1. And David, I do have to start this off by asking you, have you heard of Lil Xan before?
No. And I kind of wish that I still hadn't. No offense. And I mean about like the music aspect. I obviously don't know the person, so I can't speak to that.
Well, I'm going to tell you about Lil Xan, the person, right now. Lil Xan is Nicholas Diego Llanos. He goes by Diego. He's from Redlands, California, in San Bernardino County. He grew up poor, and he dropped out of high school in his freshman year. He initially wanted to be a photographer for his friends, who were all aspiring rappers, and he also sold drugs on the side. He became addicted to Xanax, which is where his stage name comes from. He got sober and started dropping music on the one place that you were guaranteed to find an audience in the mid to late 2010s, SoundCloud. He blew up off the song Betrayed, which we will talk about in a short while. He had initially named this album No Love after one of the early singles, but his management didn't let him include the song. I wonder how bad it is, I wrote.
Interesting.
This is from Lil Xan. We really wanted the album to be something else. This album is where I feel like I shine with the whole creativity. It's a lot of stuff people haven't heard. It's a very mature sound. I don't think they're going to expect it. I'm not going to say anything I'm thinking about this throughout this whole process until we get into the songs. I just think it's interesting. There's some interesting topics to bring up about the album. And this album falls into the genre of SoundCloud rap, which some people dispute as a genre. However, I am going to put on my I lived through this era hat and tell you that I think it is a separate genre of music. I've seen critics put it as a movement of so-called mumble rap, but I do think there are 2 things present in most SoundCloud rap songs: blown out and lo-fi production, and simple lyrics that are kind of general. And the vast majority of these songs are quite short, much like we see on this album. I think this album is actually a perfect introduction to SoundCloud rap because it takes all of the hallmarks of the genre and pushes it to the extreme, most often negatively. I would argue that this era went from the mid-2010s to about 2019. Some of the biggest figures of the movement were Lil Peep, XXXTentacion, and Ski Mask the Slump God. Some people may cite COVID as the end of the genre, but I've also seen genre heavyweight Juice WRLD's death being cited as a primary reason for its death. After this movement, plug and glitchcore started to take off, ironically also on SoundCloud.
I was literally about to ask, is SoundCloud still used a lot? I feel like I haven't heard about it, honestly, being used in a while.
SoundCloud is big in EDM. It's big with remix culture. And in the 2010s, it was big with hip hop. This was after the era of mixtapes, which the internet was a big way to distribute mixtapes, and a lot of artists blew up doing mixtapes online. And after a lot of those sites started to shut down, they all kind of migrated over to SoundCloud because it's also a better user experience. It is still going. It kind of died, I would say, around this time, like 2019, but it's come back in the past 2 years because there aren't like official remixes of songs anymore, as we've talked about many times on the podcast. So a lot of people, a lot of upcoming producers just make their own remixes and then post them on SoundCloud and see if they can find an audience there.
That's really interesting. I did not realize that was a thing.
Yeah, there's still very much a DIY ethos to SoundCloud music, which I really like.
Right. I do think that is something that is missing from a lot of just our lives. So I'm happy to hear that.
And I have to ask you, what were your expectations going in? Did you think that this would be worse than the album we did for episode 15 last year, which was 143?
Let me put it like this. Obviously, knowing that you chose this for this episode, I was thinking to myself that, yeah, it would be pretty bad. But in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, it'll probably be something like, 143 by Katy Perry. Bad, but not like the worst thing, on planet Earth. And then I saw the cover of the album, and I quickly changed my mind. So going into this, based off the cover, I was fully expecting this to be the worst thing that had ever entered my eardrums.
Damn.
Ever. So that was honestly my expectation.
So David, unfortunately, this album was not received well when it came out. Ben Beaumont Thomas of The Guardian said, "I can confidently report that there are no good lyrics on this album."
Damn.
And Luke Morgan Britton of NME wrote, "Lil Xan is by no means the worst thing to happen to hip-hop, nor does he symbolize its death. However, he isn't very good either." It has a 49 out of 100 on Metacritic, but fans of both hip-hop and music in general often consider this one of the worst albums ever. It has a .88 on Rate Your Music and a 9 out of 100 on Album of the Year. It peaked at number 10 on the Billboard 200 and sadly was not nominated for any Grammy Awards. I had never heard this album, but I knew Betrayed from back in the day on SoundCloud. But I had never heard any other song off of the album, and like I said, never listened to it front to back. So this was a new experience for me. It's always been one of those ones where I was like, damn, I could listen to this because it's so bad, or I could do something more enjoyable. And I would always choose doing something more enjoyable. And then it was removed from Spotify.
That's the choice I would make too.
And I do have to say, we chose this album while it was still on Spotify, and I think it was probably like February or March of this year that it was taken off. So
yeah,
we're not doing this to be annoying or to discuss an album that's not readily available. It was, and we had intended on doing this. And I said to David, I don't think I want to change it because we do need to listen to this. And he agreed.
Very true. And I think that is an important distinction for us to make.
The album was executive produced by DJ Fu. It was mixed by Ben the Great, Boaz Vandebeats, DJ Fu, Finnis KY White, Kinfolk John, and Steve the Sauce Hibicki. And it was mastered by Mauricio Vado Iragori, Mike Bell, and Steve B. Bowman. I will guess that your favorite track is Moonlight, but I have no idea what your least favorite will be. It could be any of them, including Moonlight. And I think you will give this a 0.5.
I'm not even going to guess what you're going to give it, because I think it's obvious. Yeah.
I'm about to surprise you, David.
Oh.
With track number 1, Who I Am, written by Bobby Johnson and Lil Xan, produced by Bobby Johnson. First thing I wrote about this album was Jesus Christ.
Tracks.
It is important to note that Lil Xan is actually not pro-Xans, despite what many think. He said the idea behind his movement, the Xanarchy, is rejecting drugs because they actually don't make you feel better, which I think is a noble cause.
I agree.
And this is a quote from Lil Xan. In 2017, I had my own demons with the drug Xanax, so I wanted to make a movement, Xanarchy, about just nothing but anti-Xanax use. I really don't agree with glorifying the drug at this point, especially in light of Lil Peep's death. The Lil Peep thing was like the biggest wake-up call. He was one of my favorite artists, and to lose something like that, I was already doing the anti-Xan thing, but it's like you gotta get off that stuff, man. It's just not good for you. I appreciate his perspective on that, yet sadly, it does not make the music any better. I have a question for you, David. Do you think that September be the best month and that April be the worst month?
Let's go with it.
All right.
Cool.
I have to say, I don't think he understands musical measures because a lot of this shit doesn't make sense musically and not just on this song. I will admit, He does start to catch a flow in the second verse a little bit, which is why this isn't the worst song on the album, but my God, is this annoying.
Yeah.
This will be a theme. How the fuck are the beats this bad? Genuinely, what is this roly-poly ass beat? What are we doing? I wrote. And finally, I am going to do a bitch counter and a hoe counter.
Ooh,
After the
please.
first song, the bitch counter is at 5 and the hoe counter is at 2. I rated this song a 1. It is not the worst thing on here. What did you think about this song? And did you absolutely love it?
The first thing that I wrote down was, and I quote myself, I am scared.
Nice.
That was the first thing I wrote down. This honestly, to me, sounds like something that someone from high school would write. One of those like kids that just sits in the corner by themselves and is very weird and cusses a lot and like probably is on drugs. That's like the person that I imagine that would write this. It's bad. I will say, I do agree that it could be worse. It's unbearable, but it's not like to the point where I just want to punch my screen. That's how I'll put it. I will say, it just, to me, sounds like an SNL parody song, if anything. Like, it reminded me of all the Pete Davidson raps that are on SNL that I really hate. So, yes, I am in agreement. This is actually a 1 for me.
Nice.
We are on the same page, yeah.
And I should have prefaced before track 1 doing this, but I do want to say a sincere shout out to Lil Xan because he's remained clean and sober.
Yeah, no shout out.
He's starting to make other music and like branch out. He keeps saying he's going to change his name to just Diego instead of Lil Xan.
That's
so
nice.
I hope he does, and I hope he finds peace and puts out some good music. I don't want to talk about this as like hating on him as a person, you know?
Absolutely. This is obviously totally separated from him as a person. As I said before, I went into this expecting not to like the album. I don't know anything about him as a person.
Yeah.
So that's has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about here.
But I would like to make that distinction because I don't think that he is like a malicious or evil person. There are people who are like that, like XXXTentacion and Playboy Cardi, like to think of SoundCloud era rap, like this, they're just like disgusting people.
Yeah.
But Lil Xan, you know, he's not the worst. So shout out to him. And that takes us to track number 2, Wake Up, written by Danny Wolf, Dilip Venkatesh, and Lil Xan, and produced by Dilip and Danny Wolf. This was the 4th single, released December 26th, 2017. This song has legitimately no substance. What is the point of it? At the end of the day, it is not the worst, and it has a somewhat memorable chorus. I wake up, I throw up, I feel like I'm dead. The bitch counter is at 10, and the hoe counter is at 3, and I gave this song a 1. What did you think?
I mean, I agree with you. There isn't anything in this. It's literally just a beat and him repeating the same 3 phases over and over again. And I will repeat that sentence multiple times throughout this album. It literally feels to me like they put on a beat and they just started singing about whatever they wanted to.
Singing?
Or, sorry, rapping. And not even doing that very well.
Rapping?
I will say, I don't love the vocals. Not my favorite. I agree that this song is not the worst, and I think it might even be a tiny bit better than the last song. Yeah, it's just the same 3 phrases over and over again, over a beat, but at least there's nothing like worse than that, if you get what I mean. It's just boring versus being like offensively bad. This is actually 1.5.
Nice.
Let me say though, don't expect that to last.
Is that the highest you go on the album?
That is not the highest I go.
Okay. We got track number 3, TikTok, featuring 2 Chainz. Written by 2 Chainz, Lil Xan, and Ronnie J, and produced by Ronnie J. The beat sounds like death, and Lil Xan sounds like he's speaking a different language for half of the song. And what you can hear is one of the most misogynistic songs on here, which is saying something.
Oh, yeah.
The entirety of Lil Xan's contribution is TikTok, shut up, stupid bitch, you suck cock. 2 Chainz' verse contributes essentially nothing, and I do wonder if all of the features just phoned it in after hearing these fucking beats. And it's not like these are bad producers. Ronnie J made some of Denzel Curry's best beats, and Bobby Johnson was a SoundCloud legend for a long time. Like, what are we doing, bro? The bitch counter is at 19, and the hoe counter remains at 3. And this song is a 0.5.
Yeah, 20 seconds in for me, and I already knew that this was a 0.5. I didn't need to finish the song to know. I literally wrote that this is music to me, and I asked the question, what am I doing with my life? This makes me question everything. I did not know that the lyrics could get this much worse.
Yeah.
And that the beat could get this much more annoying. This is a 0.5. I kind of can't believe how bad this is in some capacity. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I will say, ironically, you do have to kind of experience this song to see how bad it is. So maybe this is the one you should listen to. And I will say I didn't specifically choose, but maybe this is my least favorite. Just maybe.
Track number 4, Diamonds, written by DJ Fu, Lil Xan, and Postman, also known as Lil Yee Ye. And it's produced by DJ Fu and Postman. Every time I've heard this song, I burst out laughing. What the fuck is that flute doing? This might be the worst beat I have ever heard in my life. And for that reason, this is one of the worst songs on here, because actually I did write this down as my least favorite, but another one overtook it as I continued listening to this album.
That sounds about right.
And the reason I don't call this my least favorite is because I genuinely enjoy myself listening to this song because of how terrible it is.
Yeah.
I would like to read you a genius annotation of the line, "Grill in my mouth, ain't no bitch, yeah. Stepped in this shit and it's lit, A." It says, and I quote, "Straight garbage." That's the genius annotation.
Hell yeah, I support that.
After... David, you're not ready for this.
What?
After this song, the bitch counter is at 55.
What?
We went from 19 to 55.
But that much? That's crazy.
And the hoe counter will go to 4 because he does say thotty, which does count.
That counts.
And then I wrote after that as an addendum to this. Holy fucking shit, this song is maybe bottom 5 ever. Genuinely, what is he saying? All I can understand is diamonds be wet like a bitch. I'm not sure the genius lyrics even come close to what he's saying. This is a 0.5. Not my least favorite, though.
I mean, yeah, this is down there for me. Ironically, I feel like in some way TikTok is worse, but maybe that just because it's the first song that was a 0.5 that I heard, because this song is annoying as hell. And I mean, yeah, lyrics are terrible again.
It's his so voice funny, though.
Is just as unpleasant to me as the last song. It is funny, but I can't.
Yeah.
I literally wrote down ugh. And I will say it's, again, the same thing where it's just the same phrases repeated again and again and again. It feels like compared to this, a rap that is just bad deserves the Pulitzer. Like it's at that level of terrible to me. Yeah, it's a 0.5. Nobody's surprised, I'm sure, at that.
We got track number 5, The Man, featuring Stephen Cannon, written by Danny Wolf, DJ Fu, Lil Xan, and Stephen Cannon, and produced by DJ Fu and Danny Wolf. This was the 8th and final single, released a week before the album. Another potential bottom 5 beat of all time, this shit is unlistenable. Not just borderline unlistenable, it is unlistenable. Mm-hmm. I for that bit, yeah. I for that bit, yeah.
Don't sing lyrics.
All my friends seem to fucking hate me, because I'm doing great, they some lames, they hate me. That's another line from this song.
My God.
I don't think there's any redeeming quality about this song. This one isn't even fun to listen to because it's so bad. It is genuinely terrible. It is my least favorite song on here. And I do have a few other things to say. One of them is one of my favorite lines on the album. White or black, my diamond's racial. That's spoken by Stephen Cannon. Okay, sure, why not? And after this song, the bitch counter is at 72 and the hoe counter is at 8.
Did he just decide to say that as much as he could in every song? That's genuinely crazy.
I really don't know. But this is at a 0.5 and this is my least favorite song on here. I do think that Diamonds might be a worse song because I genuinely cannot listen to it without laughing. I listened to it 5 times because it's so funny to me.
But crazy.
This song is just it hurts my head to listen to. So The Man is the worst. I don't even recommend listening to this song. I recommend if you want to listen to any song from here, listen to Diamonds.
I mean, let me put it like this. Or I guess this is not so much a reflection of the song, but this was my headspace going into the song. Before the song started playing, an ad came on, because obviously I'm listening to this on YouTube and I don't have an ad blocker, but an ad came on and it was a skippable ad, and I literally did not skip it. I let it play for 2 minutes to give myself some breathing room.
Damn.
So that's the headspace that I'm in. Yeah. That tells you what this album is like. And yeah, it's the same bullshit to me. It's just as bad. I feel like whoever wrote these lyrics, like,
Lil Xan.
well, yeah, but I don't know, listening to this, I'm like, did he hear what he was singing?
I don't know.
Like, how can someone sing this and not cringe to themselves? I don't understand. This is terrible. This might be up there with TikTok as my least favorite. I kind of can't decide though, because I feel like, I don't know, it was all like the same level of terribleness to me, where I couldn't even compare very well. I felt like one river of terribleness to me. It's a 0.5.
I for that bit, yeah. I for that bit, yeah.
Oh my
I for
God.
that bit, yeah.
Shut up,
Damon,
Brandon.
I for that
Shut
bit,
up.
yeah.
Shut up.
I
Shut
for
up.
that bit.
Shut the fuck up. I can't take anymore. That's too much.
I have a new phrase to repeat with track number 6, Saved by the Bell.
You do.
Written by Christopher KRS Allen, Lil Xan, Lone Star Music, Ashi, and S1, who is a connection to Lord and Watch the Throne.
Oh.
And it's produced by S1, Lone Star Music, Ashi, and KRS, or Chris, I don't know. I wrote down, this is a passable beat. Here's the line. Skirt, 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 skirt. What?
I knew you were going to bring that up.
The genius annotation is from producer Lone Star Music. And he wrote, the wordplay here is so complex that the meaning is unknown. People from all over the world have tried to decode this, but none have been successful.
Wait, did skirt come from this?
No, that's something that people have been saying forever, but I do think that
'Cause-
the parody that Pete Davidson and Timothée Chalamet did is based on Lil Xan. At least one of them
I was
is,
about to
because
say.
that is very much a, like, this era of SoundCloud rap kind of thing.
I mean, I know the word skirt from that specific sketch, like the famous sketch of them rapping together, but I didn't realize that it was going to be in the song. So when I heard it, I could not believe myself.
Yeah, it's still in a lot of rap songs. That's just something you say. That's the sound your car makes, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you don't know. You don't drive yet, so...
Yeah, I don't drive. I don't have a car.
One day, once you get a car, you'll be skirting all around Los Angeles. This song either samples or has the same sample as a song called Cassie by Chase Atlantic, which we do have on the calendar. And that is a way better song.
I wish we were listening to that.
He will, however, receive half a point for that sample because it is musical, unlike a lot of the other beats.
That is true.
At least this song has an idea present. Fuck teachers, which is something that he also does get a half a point from. And here's a fun fact for you, David. He says, I was saved by the bell 33 times in this song.
I bet he said bitch more.
I was saved by the bell, yeah. I was saved by the bell, yeah.
Nice.
After 6 songs, the bitch counter is at 79, and the hoe counter remains at 8. And of course, I for that bit, I for that bit. All my bitches fuck with bitches. All my bitches love my bitches. Wiser words have never been spoken. I did end up giving this song a 1.5 though.
Oh, wow. That's quite a bit higher. Yeah, I mean, to me, that is just, it's just as annoying as the last couple of songs. So it stays at a 0.5. In some ways, it's not as like offensive to my ears. It's just quite annoying. And I still can't believe that skirt is actually said in this. Then again, I haven't heard a lot of rap where they actually say skirt. I think that's probably why it's surprising to me and was surprising when I first heard this. And that's, I think, also a reason why it stays at a 0.5. I just can't take a song seriously where they say skirt, I think.
I think you need to listen to more rap
Because
music.
that sketch will just pop in my brain, I guess. Okay, let me put it like this. Are there rap songs where they say skirt that you like?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay. I guess I have to be
Would you
proven
like
wrong.
them? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. We'll see. But yeah, this stays at a 0.5. But I will say it's not as low of a 0.5 as the other preceding 0.5s.
I was saved by the bell, yeah. I was saved by the bell, yeah.
I hate you right
I
now.
for that bell, I for that bell.
Watch it, brother.
Track number 7, Moonlight. With Charlie XCX, who of course is a connection to her own episode. Written by Charlie XCX, DJ Fu, Lil Xan, and Robert G. Coop Mandel, and it's produced by G. Coop.
This makes me sad.
The chorus is god-awful, but at least the beat is all right. Charlie XCX also sounds good, as she always does on hip-hop beats. I have zero idea why she agreed to this, but at least it is semi-listenable, and for that reason, it is my favorite song.
Oh, wow.
Shout out Al Pacino, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
The bitch counter is at 85, and the hoe counter remains at 8. And this song is a 2. It is my favorite.
Yeah. At this point, I was very done. And then I realized that I was listening to Charlie XCX when she started singing. And I was very sad that she agreed to do this. It definitely is better than the last couple of songs. I think partially because of her performance and the fact that she was involved. And I think that's why, to me, it's not as actively annoying as the past several songs, but it's still bad in my mind. Even Charlie XCX can't save this. This is a 1. I still don't like it, and it's definitely not my favorite.
I wouldn't even recommend listening to this song. And I have to tell you, David, you know how big of a fan I am of Charlie XCX.
Oh, yeah.
I knew about this song back in 2018. Still didn't listen to it. Never listened to it until like 2 weeks ago when we started listening for this episode. That tells you something.
And you don't need any reason to listen to it at all.
Track number 8, Shine Hard, featuring Ray Sremmurd. Written by DJ Fu, Lil Xan, Slim Jimmy, Sway Lee, and Teo Fetty, and produced by DJ Fu and Teo Fetty. The beat is somewhat okay, but I still hate it so much. I hate everything about this. It makes me so angry that it exists. I cannot believe it is real. This might be the worst chorus on here, and that is saying a lot. Sold my soul to a bitch. Yeah, the devil is a bitch. Yeah, the devil is a motherfucking bitch. The bitch counter is at 91. And
Jesus.
Against all odds, the hoe counter remains at 8.
This
wild. Is a 0.5. This song, I didn't hate that much when I first listened to it. Holy shit, is this annoying. This is like one of the worst songs on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's god awful. It's actively annoying. I can't believe that it's possible for so much in a song to be terrible. Like everything across the board. It's a 0.5. It brings back my streak, and it's on the lower side for sure. Although I feel like it's still not as low as The Man, Diamonds, and TikTok. I feel like those were especially bad in my mind, at least.
Egregious.
Yeah, egregiously bad.
I do think the second half of the album is better.
That's
not significantly better.
Yes, I agree with that. It's better,
I just
but not
think
significantly better.
there's a run of a few songs in the first part that are just like,
yeah, you
shit.
hit that low very, very fast.
Yes.
And it like tries to recover, but it doesn't really succeed. So
track number 9, Round Here, featuring YG, who is a connection to Tyler, the Creator. And it's written by DJ Fu, Lil Xan, and YG. And it's produced by DJ Fu, Postman, and Kanye the One. Make you bleed out your neck, he says. Is this a reference to Charlie Kirk? It is not, but...
Interesting thought, though.
Lil Xan's verses are stupid, but not terrible. This song isn't the worst by any means. It's not good, but importantly, it is not without merit in some ways. And I have to tell you the most surprising thing about this song and the album as a whole. There are 0 bitches and hoes on this song, if you can believe it.
That's wild. What happened?
But David, who the fuck you think you is? It's also track 9. Is that a coincidence that it's not the worst ever? I think not. This is a 1.5.
This is a 1. I can't even really say much. It's a little bit better because it's not as annoying. There is maybe a tiny bit more. Can I vocalize what exactly that is? Not really, but it's still a 1. I still don't like it, obviously. It's still, in my mind, a bad song. I don't know. At least it wasn't as annoying. At least it was a tiny bit more bearable for me to get through. I don't know if maybe that was something in the production that just gave me a little bit more hope or something.
Yeah.
But there was just something there. And that's why it is a 1 for me.
Track number 10, Basically. Written by Bobby Johnson and Lil Xan and produced by Bobby Johnson. This was the 5th single released March 12th, 2018. Maybe this is not the worst. The beat is fine, and there are moments here and there where it actually seems like there's a bit of an idea forming. I don't hate it. The bitch counter is at 93, and the hoe counter increases to 9, but he also delivers the very poetic line, and not to be rude, but I think you're a slut, which I will count as hoe number 10. This is a
Nice.
1.5.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of diverging here. I kind of lost it at this point. Fuck this song, fuck this album. And then I wrote in capital letters, why, just why. At this point, I was very much reaching my breaking point. This is a 0.5. I really did not like this song. And I don't know if maybe that was me listening to the overall album and just being tired at this point, or if it was the song specifically. But you know what? I don't care to go out and double check. I'm fine with just keeping this at a 0.5. Life is too short.
And with that, track number 11, Deceived. Written by Bobby Johnson and Lil Xan and produced by Bobby Johnson. Lil Xan said that this song is the follow-up to the next song on the album, Betrayed, which was his breakout hit. And I wrote, I guess the beat isn't that bad. The first verse is 13 bars, which is stupid. Usually you go a number that makes sense, like 8 or 16. Hell, I would even take 12, but 13, be serious. Overall, his delivery sounds a little bit more focused on this song, which I know is insane to say about a song that's almost entirely mumbled, but I stand by it. The bitch counter is at 96, and the hoe counter is at 13, and this song is a 1.
I do kind of feel like it had the same effect as around here, where maybe there was just a little bit more going on in the production that gave me a little bit of hope or something. Something was just there, pretty much, where even though I really disliked it, it was still annoying. I still did not enjoy it. It did push it up to a 1 and, gave me a tiny bit of hope, I guess. I can't even really explain my thoughts into this chorus at this point because, honestly, I was going off of purely vibes. Whatever number popped into my head, I put down because I was so done with this. I was struggling to stay afloat, to be honest.
Do you think this is how I felt about Brazil?
Yes, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that I was at a similar place that you were. Like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into the film.
I'm glad I could do that for you.
Thank you. I'm sure I probably did it to you again with this movie that we're going to talk about soon.
I also did have to suffer through this.
True, you also did suffer. That is a good point.
And with that, track number 12, Betrayed. Written by Bobby Johnson and Lil Xan and produced by Bobby Johnson. This was the second and best known single, released June 19th, 2017. It peaked at number 64 on the Billboard Hot 100 and is certified platinum in the US. This is the big hit from the album and the only song I knew by him before listening, which I am starting to think back. I definitely heard Colorblind by Diplo and featuring Lil Xan, which appears on this album as well. Lil Xan said about this song, I was with my homie Steven, and we recorded out of a really ghetto garage. Slingshot, Betrayed, all those songs were recorded in a ghetto bougie garage. It's just a vibe, you know? The writing is easy there. It just comes naturally. In bigger studios, I can't really catch a vibe like that. I'm not going to lie. I probably wrote that song in 20 minutes, but I knew when I wrote it, this was something different that people haven't heard from me yet. I went in, laid it down, and everybody was fucking with it heavy, so it was insane. It was probably one of the last days I did Xans. The song is an anti-Xanax song. You can't deny that. The song is about not taking drugs. I was off of Xanax that day when I made that song, and I feel like it helped inspired it. But I realized that it's bad. I'm off that shit completely now, but I think that it helped the creativity for this song. He has kind of a flow in that first verse, which is the only thing I remember about this song from 2017. I thought that he wouldn't be considered one of the worst rappers ever because of that, but the rest of the song kind of falls apart. This era of SoundCloud rap was a moment, and I actually liked it, even if the music wasn't always great. It was cool to see new artists who were hungry and had something to say, even if that something is just, her pussy tastes like Skittles. You can really taste the rainbow.
Oh my God.
And about the line, she said she hate my Insta feed. Lil Xan had this to say. I had an ex-girlfriend that just hated every time I posted because all these girls would comment on it. I be following girls and she scroll down my feed and she just see big booty bitches and shit, strippers, porn stars. And she's like, I hate your Insta feed. She unfollowed girls and shit, blocked them and whatnot. I said ex, but yeah, I ain't gonna front. We still together.
Oh
She gonna
God.
kill me for that one.
Hell yeah.
Great quote. The bitch counter rises to 100 and the hoe counter is at 14. He also says mistress twice, but I don't hear any hatred towards women in either of those.
Nice.
So I will leave them alone. I gave the song a 1. What did you think about his big hit and breakout hit?
It's interesting because the reason I hated the song was not so much that it was like offensively terrible. It was more that it was just boring as hell. Like, terribly boring. I could not wait for this song to be over. The only like spark of interest that I had towards the song was when the line "her pussy tastes like Skittles" popped up, because I was like, oh, that's interesting. Definitely not going to hear that anywhere else.
True.
So
Except for the remix of the song.
True. Which we will talk about, I'm
Yes.
sure. But yeah, this song is just so boring. I was so bored. It's a 0.5. It's not the worst song, but it is just, I wanted it to be over.
Track number 13, Slingshot, written by Bobby Johnson and Lil Xan and produced by Bobby Johnson. This was the lead single released March 31st, 2017. I have a line from it. Heard my raps, they like nah. I just thought that was interesting and worth bringing up.
Cool.
This song is interesting in a blown out style of SoundCloud mumble rap or emo rap type of way. Ultimately, though, it is still bad.
Yeah.
The bitch counter is now at 106, and the hoe counter is at 15. And of course, David, for that shit, like, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a 1.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to like run away at this point. I was very close, but I was so really like done. I feel like in some ways this is as bad as that initial little run of 0.5 so we had. I really did not like this song. It just... I don't even know what else to say at this point. I feel like I've kind of said everything that I have to say. All I can really say is that I was at a level of disbelief that I've never been at before, because I could not believe that so many terrible songs could be in one single album. This is a 0.5, and I feel like I can barely survive cramming any more of these songs into my brain.
Don't worry, we only have a few left.
That's right. We are almost there.
Track number 14, Far, written by Eris Ray, DJ Fu, Jonathan Young God Martinez, and Lil Xan, and produced by DJ Fu and Young God. This was the third single, released October 31st, 2017. And this is from Lil Xan. I never saw myself up in the limelight, to be honest. Back when I was in high school, I wasn't like, I'm gonna be a rapper, freestyling in the cafeteria. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna be. I dropped out freshman year at high school, so I was kind of clueless to what my career was going to be. I know my parents were scared. I wasn't too scared, but like you get to like 20 last year. When I was 20, I wasn't in a good position financially and all that. I was scared. And then I started rapping as a hobby because, Stephen Cannon, all the other members of Xanarchy, they were rappers, and I went to their shows. Even though I was a photographer, I was like, that looks so cool just to be the man, just to be on stage and have people cheering you on. I always wanted some sort of fame, but I never thought it was achievable. I come from a city, Redlands, California, where there's nothing. Nobody makes it. There's people trying to make music. It's fucking terrible. No offense to Redlands, California. But just to be a kid, to come out of a small town like that where nothing ever happens, the coolest thing they do is on Thursday, they have a little parade on the State Street. That's the shit to go to, you know what I mean? So to come from that place, to be right here with Genius, it's unheard of. And all my friends back home that I still have are like, how the fuck did you do that? I'm just like, I don't know how I did it, but shit, I'm happy. Good for him,
Hell yeah.
This is one of those songs where it appears like there's an idea, but it slowly vanishes. And by the time we get to the verse, there's no semblance of anything new here. And of course, the bitch counter is at 108. I gave the song a 1. What did you think, David?
I did not realize that we were doing the following two songs. So when I reached the song at first, I was so happy because I thought that I had actually made it. So in some ways, I was a little happy listening to this, even though in reality, I was not at all happy because it's exactly the same thing to me. And the production and the vocals and the writing is all on the same level as my least favorite songs in this album. So this is also 0.5, but I was definitely a little happier. Of course, 20 minutes later, I would be very sad when I would receive a text from Brandon in answer to my question, saying that yes, we are in fact listening to the two following songs.
Yes, when this was on streaming, I said to David, we're only listening to 14 because we don't need to do a Diplo song and we don't need to do a remix of it. Then it was taken off Spotify and there was only one YouTube video that had all of the songs. And I was like, fuck it, David, just listen to all of them. Why not? And he said, I hate you.
They decided that they wanted to torture me a little bit more.
And I'm glad I did because we got 2 songs left. Track number 15, Colorblind by Diplo featuring Lil Xan. Written by Diplo, Joseph Mount, Lil Xan, the Picard Brothers, and Thomas Azier. Produced by Diplo, the Picard Brothers, and Boaz Vandebeats. This was the 7th single, released March 22nd, 2018, and is also part of Diplo's EP, California. And an obligatory fuck Diplo. I can't believe I ever considered myself a fan of an AI user in Defender and alleged rapist. This song is alright. I don't think I ever want to hear it again, but it's not the worst thing on here. And there are no bitches or hoes on this song either. This one is a 2. Is this your favorite? Because I feel like it kind of has to be.
It has to be. And crazy enough, we are in agreement on our scores. This is a 2. When it comes to this song, there is at least something here. Like, there is at least a semblance of production, a semblance of like some sort of music going on. I mean, obviously, I don't know who the guest artist is. I don't know I didn't know that they use AI. They at least like do a solid job on this song, you know? Like, it's not a bad vocal performance.
That's all Lil Xan. Diplo's only
That's
producing.
all Lil Xan?
Yeah, Lil
I had
Xan's
no idea.
entirely
Okay.
the vocals.
Well, let me throw it out there then. I think this is Lil Xan's best vocal performance. And honestly, shout out, because the vocal performance was not bad.
I agree.
It was solid. But yeah, I mean, this is like, there's at least something there. I obviously still don't like it. It's still a 2, but it's not offensively bad. It's just bad.
And that is a good mark to hit. Right before we reach the last song of the album, track number 16, Betrayed Remix, featuring Yo Gotti and Rich the Kid. Written by Bobby Johnson, Lil Xan, Rich the Kid, and Yo Gotti, and produced by Bobby Johnson. This was the 6th single, released on March 14th, 2018. I was told this song is better than the original. It is not, because it's just longer and more of the same, which was already bad. I gave this one a 1.
Ironically, I also gave this a 1. But if you remember, I gave Betrayed a 0.5 because to me, this is actually a little bit better.
Oh.
And the reason why is I feel like there is at least, I don't know, what the remix, they maybe added a little bit more in the production. There's a little bit more going on, which I think helps. And I feel like the singing is better in this than in the original, even if I still don't like it. I still think that it's as boring as the original, but at least there is something here that the original doesn't have. So that's ultimately why it is a 1 instead of a 0.5 like the original. So ending on a tiny bit more of a positive point, I guess.
And with that, the final bitch count comes to 114.
Nice.
And the final hoe count comes to 16 for a grand total of 130 insults to women. So shout out women.
Wild. Shout out women.
David, I have a few questions for you. I'm going to start off with the one that everybody is wondering. Was this worse than 143 by Katy Perry?
100%.
143%?
143%, actually. Yeah, that's right. This is the worst album that I've ever listened to. It's some of the worst music that I've ever listened to as well. It met my expectations, in some ways exceeded it. It's wild to me how uniformly bad this is to me. This is very uniformly just music that I not only do not want to return to, but could barely get through, which is saying something because I consider myself to be a pretty patient person. And let me throw this out here. Obviously, we've talked about the fact that rap maybe isn't my favorite. I think a lot of reasons why I have a more negative perception of rap is because of rap like this. Because I feel like I have heard a lot of rap like this. I feel like this is honestly the type of rap that a lot of people my age maybe listen to. And this is the type of rap that I really don't like.
I do think that that is a fair assessment. However, I think a lot of people like SoundCloud rap because it's good, and this isn't good. And I think that's the distinction.
Yes, and I do want to say I'm not talking about SoundCloud rap specifically. I guess I mean more rap that just doesn't have any thought put into it, that has really bad beats, really bad vocals. I'm just talking about like bad rap, I guess, in many different styles and subgenres of rap. And I feel like that's why maybe I had a more negative view of it, and that view is becoming more positive the more we listen to stuff like Biggie's album and Kendrick Lamar's album, stuff like that. So, hey, this is in some ways positive, I guess.
Then that's a win, I guess.
I guess.
I do want to ask you,
Yeah.
do you think this is the worst album ever?
I mean, out of what I've listened to, absolutely. I obviously haven't listened to a lot of bad stuff just because I don't listen to a lot of albums. And actually, I do want to throw this back to you because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on that question, knowing that you have listened to like almost every album that has ever been made.
This is definitely not the worst album ever. I have heard far worse.
Right.
Is it the worst rap album ever? Maybe. I think there's an argument there. I would say that some of the more recent output by Gunna and Lil Baby has been so uninspired that it's reaching this level. And the worst part about those albums is a lot of them are in the high 20 track length wise. There's been some in the 30s where it's like there's no merit to any of the songs and there's no reason to listen to them.
That's not fun.
At that point, it's almost worse. But this is definitely not the worst album I've ever heard. There have been albums that I've heard that I cannot finish because of how bad they are. And I could, even if I wasn't listening to this for the podcast, I could have made it through this, which is why I'm ultimately giving it a 1 out of 5. This is not the worst thing ever. And I do like saving my 0.5s for the worst thing ever. There are a few songs on here which I would consider to be among the worst ever.
Right.
However, overall, I don't think the album is the worst ever. And I am curious, is this a 0.5 for you?
This is absolutely a 0.5 for me.
Nice. That's about what I assumed going into it. And what I assumed when this episode started at pretty much every point that you were talking about the album. So I feel pretty good about that.
I think you could guess.
I do have to do the obligatory questions, but I do want to reframe them a little bit. If this album was on Spotify, would you add any songs to a playlist, even if it is a playlist of like music to torture other people with?
Oh, I would add it to a list of music to torture for sure. I would add like over half the album, honestly. But not to any good playlist, of course. But I would also
not even
like
colorblind. Wow.
Yeah, not even colorblind.
Not even the shining star, the 2 on the album.
Oh God. Yeah, not even that.
And I have to ask you, do you consider yourself a fan of Lil Xan now?
Not at all. I mean, look, I don't know anything about him as a person, but I'm not a fan of his music.
Yeah, I wish him the best. I hope that this isn't adding, to anything. I mean, we're talking shit about his music for a long time, and I always feel bad about that. Like, anytime I dislike something, I feel bad because it's like there's a person behind everything that was made here. And I do sincerely hope that he's doing well and that he's staying clean and sober and that he's making better music now and making stuff that's closer to what he believes in.
And I also really commend him on the fact that he did take that step to get sober in the first place and that he's, maintaining that. That is obviously a very, very difficult thing to do and to go through. So I think that is very, very commendable. Shout out.
Yes. So shout out to Lil Xan. This was unfortunate and not the most fun listening experience, but I do think that him taking it off of Spotify is a good step forward. And, maybe I'll check out his stuff in the future. I'm always interested in listening to stuff. So,
you never know.
I want to leave that on a positive note and say, Lil Xan, I hope you're doing well. And I hope you put out some music that I like and that everyone else likes. And I hope that fulfills you. We do have to talk about something now that may not be redeemable in any way. Because we're talking about cats.
We are talking about meow cats. That's right.
Jellicle cats.
Yeah, in case you guys couldn't tell from the title of what you're listening to, we are talking about Cats, which is, of course, the adaptation of the musical Cats. Before we get into everything, though, I'm going to throw out the logline towards you. A tribe of cats called the Jellicles must decide yearly which one will ascend to the Heaviside layer and come back to a new Jellicle life.
I think it's perfect because none of that appears in the movie.
Well, I think it's perfect because you could erase this logline and that would actually tell you what the movie is about.
That's true. So actually, maybe it isn't perfect. Maybe this movie should not have a logline, because I do think it is the closest thing to not having a story that we've ever watched.
True. And also, honestly, maybe the logline should be CGI singing.
I mean, yeah.
And that would be perfect. But let's get the credits out of the way. Cats is, of course, a musical fantasy film directed by Tom Hooper, who we'll talk about quite a bit. It's produced by Deborah Hayward, Tim Bevan, Eric Fellner, and Tom Hooper. It's written by Lee Hall and Tom Hooper, and it's based on Cats by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. To those of you surprised, we will talk about that in 1 second. The cinematography is by Christopher Ross. It's edited by Melanie Oliver. The music is, of course, by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And it's distributed by Universal. And it is rated PG, even though it should be rated R.
Wow, I did not know it was PG.
That's right. It's PG, in spite of all the weird sexual stuff
it feels like it shouldn't be.
Yeah, kids should not be watching this. I mean, adults shouldn't either, but,
No.
That's beside the point. It, of course, stars James Corden, Judi Dench, Jason Derulo, Idris Elba, Jennifer Hudson, Ian McKellen, Taylor Swift, Rebel Wilson, and introduces Francesca Hayward as the protagonist, Victoria. And I did want to say, Francesca Hayward, no relationship to producer Deborah Hayward.
I was going to ask about that.
I knew you were. We got to first, of course, talk about the musical because this is obviously an adaptation. So let's just briefly talk about it. And let me just say, I am not an expert. I am not really a musical person. I enjoy them, but I don't know much about a lot of them. Cats came out of Andrew Lloyd Webber's love for cats. He was born in 1948, born to a musical family. He started composing music by the age of 6, and by the age of 17, he was working on his first musical with pop songwriter Tim Rice. And of course, they would find a lot of success in the 70s with musicals such as Jesus Christ Superstar, which I do love, and Evita, before eventually parting ways as collaborators. With several hits under his belt, he decided to start looking for a new idea in the 80s, and that's when his love of cats came into play. Now, not only is Webber a lover of cats, he grew up on Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot, which, for those of you who don't know, is a book of poems. And each poem pretty much covers a specific cat. This is not a narrative book. It's literally just poems. But Webber was like, you know what? I like that. And so he took the idea and he took the book and turned it into a musical with the basic idea where the Jellicle cats come together every year and decide which cat will ascend to the Heaviside layer, where each one of them tells their story and why they should go. And this way, he could literally just take the poems and use that for the lyrics because each poem is explaining the specific cat. And he can use that to have the cats explain why they should go to the Heaviside layer. And of course, he included the ostracized cat, Grisabella, who wants to be accepted again. This is why she asks them to touch her in the musical. And eventually she is chosen. She is finally touched by the other cats and she ascends. And I am bringing up that specific plot point, if you can call it that, for a very specific reason that I will bring up later. Now, of course, very loose story, and it's kind of more an excuse to string together a bunch of songs and dances. But it worked for the musical. It got rave reviews. It was a big commercial hit. By 1994, it had grossed $2 billion. It has grossed more since then. Yeah, it was a big hit. And it's still running. It's at over 7,000 performances and is the 5th longest running Broadway musical of all time. Now, a Hollywood adaptation has been in the works since the 90s. And it all started with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I'm sorry, Stevie, but I got to bring up the fact that the first version was an animated version that his animation studio called Amblimation was working on in the 90s. So that's why, before the credits of this film, you will see that Amblin is one of the studios that worked on this. And I believe he is actually credited as a producer.
Oh, wow.
This did not come to fruition. And by 2013, Weber teased that Universal had the rights to the film and would be making it as a feature, as a live action feature. And of course, in 2016, it was announced that Tom Hooper would be directing. He had, of course, directed the big budget adaptation of Les Miserables, or Les Mis for short. And that was a box office success. And even though it got mixed reviews, it did get acclaim and awards for Anne Hathaway. So Universal was like, hey, who better to direct Cats? Even though there is not really a story when it comes to this musical. So with Hooper on board, the casting began as Weber started to write an original song for the film called Beautiful Ghosts. Now, some actors who were considered for the project. Anne Hathaway was considered. Makes sense. She turned it down. Hugh Jackman was also considered. Also makes sense. They were both in Les Mis. He also turned it down. At another point, Suki Waterhouse was rumored to be involved.
Whoa.
But this has not been confirmed. And obviously, if she was involved, that did not play out. Eventually, the cast was cast and announced in 2018. And it was the weird mix that you see in the movie of like well-known respected actors such as Ian McKellen and Judi Dench, pop stars such as Taylor Swift and Jason Derulo, and James Corden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Francesca Hayward, who is, I believe, a ballet dancer, was cast in the role of Victoria the White Cat, who exists in the musical, but is not specifically the protagonist. For the film, her role was expanded to give a more traditional protagonist to the audience because in the musical, there is really no protagonist. The closest person that you have is Grisabella, who appears in like 20 minutes of the whole musical or something like that.
God.
Because the rest is just cats singing.
This was doomed from the start.
Look, not to diverge, but people singing and dancing without a story for like 2 hours, in some way, shape, or form, can work on the stage because it's stylized. It's not going to work for a movie. You need a story. I'm sorry, but you need a story.
I agree.
Do you know what the whole cast did before filming?
Regretted their life choices.
Well, that too probably, but they promptly went into cat school.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you want to hear Taylor Swift describe it?
I would love to.
Here we go. Quote, "We would literally do hours on end of barefoot crawling on the floor, hissing at each other. We learned about cat instincts and the way they carry themselves and the way that they process information, the way they see the world, the way they move," end quote. So if you were wondering why the hell they move like that in the movie, it's because of cat school.
Wow.
Yay. Now, a big question obviously came up. How are they going to do the cats visually on screen? And there were two different paths. There was path A, which is the path of the musical, where they used makeup and costumes to make the actors appear more cat-like. And then there was path B, which was CGI. They did experiment with prosthetics, but eventually they came back to CGI because Hooper said, quote, "You ended up with full-face prosthetics where you lost so much emotion, so all the paths seemed to lead me back to visual effects," end quote. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. And let me just say, if you want to blame someone, don't blame the artists that were creating the visual effects. According to some anonymous visual effects artists who worked on the film, 6 months were spent on the 2-minute and 30-second trailer, which only left them with 4 months to produce the entire film.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah, they spent more time on the trailer than they did on the actual film, which is kind of crazy because the trailer still looks like garbage, but still.
Right, yes.
Yes. This meant that a lot of artists were working 90-hour weeks and were sleeping under their desks to finish the film.
This is the type of like slave labor we talk about in animation and like CGI and stuff like that. This is just like out of control. And for what?
And for what, literally? Well, and the worst thing is that this is not even atypical. In many ways, this is the norm, where VFX artists and animators are overworked and underpaid and underappreciated and oftentimes blamed for bad visual effects.
Yes.
Even though most of the time it's not their fault. It's either because they were not given enough time, enough money, or bad decisions were made by other people that they had no control over. So let me just throw that out there. If you want to blame someone, it's probably not the visual effects artist that you should be blaming.
It's probably Tom Hooper, and it's whoever the hell at Universal decided to give this movie any amount of money.
Absolutely. I also want to throw out that, yes, it is confirmed that in an earlier version of the film, the cats did have visual anuses.
The butthole cut.
Yes, the butthole cut. This was, of course, taken out later.
So sad. What I had heard is the opening weekend, they had the buttholes, and after opening weekend, they took them out. So somehow they were able to get enough VFX artists to go in, like, change that in 1 week's time.
They were like, fine, we'll give you some money now to fix stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't imagine how overworked they were during that 1 week, too, to try to get it, to save this film, even though we all know it was
it didn't work.
Dead on trailer arrival.
Yeah. The moment the trailer came out, honestly, the shit hit the fan.
I mean, we probably should have guessed from the cast announcement and also from the idea that you could adapt this musical that has no story into a movie. So there's a lot of parts where it's like, wow, we really should have known better.
That is
and I say we because I'm talking about us societally. We should have known better.
Absolutely. Want to know something else that made things worse?
Oh, I would love to.
Something else that made it worse was the fact that they decided to record the vocals live on set instead of recording studio takes. Let's talk about Hooper's decision why. And let me just say first that Tom Hooper originally did this with Les Miserables, and he carried it over to Cats. He continued this way of capturing the vocals, and I have a quote from him on why he did for Les Mis. Quote, "I just felt ultimately it was a more natural way of doing it. You know, when actors do dialogue, they have freedom in time. They have freedom in pacing. They can stop for a moment. They can speed up. I simply wanted to give the actors the normal freedoms that they would have. If they need a bit for an emotion or a feeling to form in the eyes before they sing, I can take that time. If they cry, they can cry through a song. When you're doing it to playback, to the millisecond, you have to copy what you do. You have no freedom in the moment, and acting is the illusion of being free in the moment." End quote.
Is Tom Hooper British? Because this sounds like a very British director kind of thing to do. Yeah.
He is British, yes.
Yeah.
And also, I think that as a director, he entered Les Mis and then, of course, Cats without a background in directing musicals.
Okay.
And I think you can tell in this quote. And I wanted to ask you if there was anything that struck you about the way he's talking about singing.
I think acting is what makes the movie. Just straight up, like, it's all about the performance. Mm-hmm. However, musicals, it's in the name. It's the music makes the movie. And if you're fucking up the music, you have no musical and you just have a movie that has no story. Because a lot of the time musicals have, stories told through the music.
Yeah.
And in this case, you just straight up do not have a story. So
I agree.
Yikes.
Now, there was something very specific that I wanted to point out that he mentioned in this quote, and that is when he says, they have freedom in time, they have freedom in pacing, they can stop for a moment, they can speed up. He meant this literally, as in he wanted to give the actors pretty much the freedom to speed up, to slow down, to pause the songs wherever they wanted to for their performance. Which doesn't work because it's a song and a song has rhythm and it's supposed to go a certain way. And the thing that people that sing songs on stage in Broadway and musical know is that you can add emotions to a song without changing its rhythms and without stopping and starting. But that's not something that he understood, I guess.
This guy might be an idiot, y'all.
Yes. Now, I bring this up because there is a YouTube channel that I love called Sideways. It's a music YouTube channel, and this YouTuber has spoken about both Les Mis and Cats. This YouTuber has a video on both that are like 1 hour each, and they go in depth into how just massively the music gets fucked up in these two adaptations. It's wild. What I mentioned, that is just the tip of the iceberg. So I highly recommend going and watching those videos because it is genuinely so frustrating to like hear about just how they fucked up the music. And obviously you can tell, but knowing just how bad it is on another level. Needless to say, that is one of the biggest, but not the only reasons why the music is so terrible. And you are absolutely right. This musical is literally its music because there's nothing else. And I want to say, there was one person that knew that shit was hitting the fan. And that person was Andrew Lloyd Webber. A year before the movie came out, he wrote the following note to Universal. He wrote, quote, "You've got a car crash on your hands unless you get a grip on this thing," end quote.
Whoa.
He never got a reply.
I do wonder if he thinks that there could have actually been a Cats movie.
I think he probably did.
There can't be. I'd like to say that right now. And I challenge anyone to make a Cats movie in the future. Like, if you really think that you can do it, do it. I don't think it can be done. I'll say that straight up.
No, I agree with that because there just is no story. It's something that can work on stage, but it just can't work in a film. You need story. Even if it's a loose story, you need some sort of story, and there just isn't one here. And we will obviously talk about that. But I mean, I'm sure that when he saw how badly the music was getting fucked up and the dancing was getting fucked up, which is the baseline, I think he understood.
And I'd like to say one thing about the music as well. Like, we've talked about how like it's kind of a mess. The music is not good. Straight up. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe in the Broadway version it sounds better. The music sounds terrible here. It is not well written and it's not interesting. I don't know. That might be a hot take.
I think that a large part of that is the fact that the music got fucked up by the way that they did the music in the film. And I think there are a few moments where that are better done where it does come through maybe a little bit that, oh yeah, these are not terrible songs. These, are in some ways solid.
I will say, I don't think there was ever one moment where I thought this is a good song hiding underneath something else. I think it's just bad.
Yeah, and I will say I could totally see this also just not working for some people too. Like, this is that type of music 100%. I think even if the music was like beautifully done, etc., from the impression I got from the movie, it would still be just fine, maybe except for Memory, because I do actually like that song from another version I've heard of it. But aside from that, everything else just seems very fine to me. But in this level, or in this movie, the way that they have done it here, it's absolutely horrible. Do you want to hear how much this movie cost?
I'm very curious. I do not know how much this movie cost.
It cost, well, there's a range.
Oh, okay.
The range is $80 to $100 million.
That is weirdly less than I thought.
Not as much. It could have been worse.
It really could have been worse, and maybe it was worse, with marketing, who knows?
It probably was. But in any case, it doesn't matter because it made $75 million, which is more than I thought.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think this thing made more than
Me
like
neither.
20
I thought it
million.
made like 2 million or something, but it made 75. Obviously, still a big bomb, but it could have been a lot worse. It was, however, a critical failure on every single level. I'm sure everyone remembers when this came out. When the trailer came out, people were already calling it one of the worst movies ever made. And that only increased when the movie itself came out. The CGI was so bad that, like you mentioned before, Universal announced that they were going to release a new, better improved version 2 days after it came out, which included, as it turns out, editing the butthole cut. And Hooper himself re-edited the whole film after it was panned by critics. Sir, I don't think that makes a difference. I'm sorry.
Nah, the editing's not the problem. I didn't notice it.
But yeah, everything from the performances to the music to the direction to the story to the dancing, everything received terrible reviews. And the film was rightfully called a train wreck by everyone. It would be nominated for awards, though. Can you guess what awards it was nominated for?
It's definitely music and original song, right? Because I think wasn't there a Taylor Swift song in here?
It was not nominated at the Oscars.
It wasn't?
No, it was not.
Oh
not
my
that I saw,
God.
at least. Instead, it received 9 Golden Raspberry Awards.
Damn.
Damn, yeah. For those of you that don't know, that's like the Oscars, but bad. It received nominations for Worst Picture, Director, Actress for Francesca Hayward, Supporting Actor for Corden, Supporting Actress for Dench and Wilson, Screenplay, and 2 Screen Combo nominations. One for any 2 half feline, half human hairballs, and one for Jason Derulo and his CGI neutered bulge. It won Picture, Director, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress for Wilson, Screenplay, and Screen Combo for any 2 half feline, half human hairballs.
Jesus.
And the movie affected Weber so badly that he ended up adopting a puppy. That's right, not a cat, a dog, and had it registered as a therapy dog.
Jesus Christ.
And one time when he was boarding a plane, he was asked by the airline if he really needed the dog. He responded, "Yes, see what Hollywood did to my musical cats." The airline responded, "No doctor's report required," because they knew. And that is Cats. To this day, it's known as one of the worst movies ever made. It is an embarrassment for everyone involved. Hooper would not direct another movie for 7 years, with his film Photograph 51 releasing this year being his return to filmmaking. Hayward returned to the ballet, while Swift returned to the music. Both of them, I believe, not returning to movies since.
You're forgetting about Amsterdam.
I forgot. That's right. Okay, fine. Hayward has not returned to movies, and Swift has not had much better luck.
I would like to say, however, and just as a little spoiler right now, because I didn't know anything about Amsterdam, after we finished watching this movie, friend of the show and future guest Mo, who has been brought up many times, said we need to watch Taylor Swift die in Amsterdam, and that is what we did after that.
I forgot that happens. Hey, fun way of ending your watch of this movie.
And I cannot believe, David, you did nothing more than a passing mention at CGIing out Jason Derulo's dick.
True, I forgot.
Very
about that,
sad.
honestly.
After what you said, I don't even remember what episode it was, but you went on a whole rant about somebody's dick. So
I did.
you did.
I forgot.
It's on audio.
It's on the tape.
And if you remember what episode that was, so I can go back and listen to it in all its glory, please email us at upcpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up more, but yes, they did CGI his bulge or his dick and replaced it with a bulge, I guess, in some way, shape, or form. Not really a bulge, a little thing. Anyway, that's enough talking about penises. Yeah, but pretty much that's Cats.
What an experience.
And that's a warning for how not to adapt something, including the first decision or the initial decision to even think to adapt Cats. Yeah, I'm just going to start with the obvious question. Was it as bad as you expected it to be?
I would say yes. And actually, in some ways, worse, because I thought it actually had a story. It does not.
And that's something that I knew going into this. But I did want to ask about something specific. You are obviously the music guy, so I was very interested to see what you would think about both the music, which we kind of touched upon, but also the singing in this film.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Everything about this movie, everything about the music in this movie is maybe the worst I've ever seen and heard and had to experience in my life. It's like it's beyond words for me.
I cannot describe it. It genuinely feels like they asked the actors to to do the worst that they could do. And that includes actors, or not even actors, that includes performers and artists like Taylor Swift and Jason Derulo, who we know can sing,
Yes.
and yet it's terrible.
And Jennifer Hudson, I would like to
Yes.
say. Jennifer Hudson's
And
a great
Jennifer Hudson.
singer. What the hell did they do with her performances this entire time? It was so bad.
It was terrible. I do think in a lot of ways it's because they were singing live on set. It's because, they're just like, yeah, sing it, whatever, we'll catch it. It's their approach to the music. And then it's also, I think it's just the whole environment. Like, I can't imagine anyone just turning in a good performance in this film, like in any way, shape, or form, because everything surrounding them is bad. The CGI is bad. The dancing is horrendous. The way that they have to move in this film is so weird and sexual in a terrible way.
Yes.
Like, these performers are surrounded by garbage. So I don't know how anyone could even expect them to like turn in anything good,
I think kind of everybody knew that you didn't have to try for this movie because it's such a mess
Honestly,
from
yeah.
day one.
Because you can tell that no one is trying. And in some cases, it feels like they're doing bad on purpose. Like, I was watching Rebel Wilson and I was like, oh my God, how do you do that and think that like you're doing a good job? Like, in my mind, I was fully thinking like, yeah, she knows that this is terrible and annoying. And she's just like, well, that is what it is. Like, there are so many moments where I could not
I think so too.
comprehend that someone would turn in this performance and could be happy with it.
I do think the lyrics, which are just poems by T.S. Eliot, are really bad.
I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention to them.
I was paying attention because they kept saying Jellicle, and it was pissing
True.
me off. What?
That's true.
Why? Literally, that I think this movie boils down to two questions, which are both one word, and will be my Letterboxd review: how and why.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't get it. I don't understand anything about this or why it exists. That being said, I would not mind watching this again in the future because it is so fucking insane that it's like it's a one-of-one experience.
It's weirdly entertaining
It is.
because of how bad it is, which you would not think like is the case, because it is annoying, and obviously the music is grating. It's not nice to look at in any way, shape, or form.
Correct.
But all of those like items come together to perform a literal train wreck in front of your eyes that is kind of enjoyable to watch in a weird way.
I do think that is why it's on Netflix as well.
I agree. I think that's why people actually like talk about it still. If it was just like bad and boring, people would not have talked about it as much as they did and still do.
And I think people also talk about it because it started COVID.
Well, true. It quite literally did, kind of. Yeah.
After you've watched this disaster, this train wreck of a movie, in the last 3 minutes, Judi Dench turns to the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and starts talking to you.
Yeah.
That might be the worst moment of the entire movie.
Yeah.
I could not believe my eyes. After everything we've been through, she tells us all kinds of stuff that we learned about cats throughout the movie. And the entire time I was thinking, I don't remember any of this shit from the movie.
Yeah.
I have no idea what anyone was thinking making this. I think everyone at Universal, if they haven't lost their jobs already, that was involved with making this film, should be fired and maybe even tried. This is an atrocity.
I guess now the only thing I have to add when it comes to my questions for you is to tell you to just take it away with any other additional thoughts if you have them. And if not, then your score.
I mean, I'll say straight up, this was worse than Megalopolis.
Mm-hmm.
Megalopolis sucked, but it was not memorable in like any way because it was so bad. This is memorable because it is so bad.
Yeah.
And on that note, I am going to be giving this a new score that I've never done before.
Oh,
This is a 0.5 with a heart on Letterboxd.
nice. I approve.
Brazil, which I gave a 0.5, my only movie 0.5 so far, was unwatchable, unbearable, and I wanted to harm myself and others after finishing it. This, I was left thinking, how does this get made? And I kind of want to show this to other people because of how insane it is and what it makes you feel. So for that reason, I will be giving it 8.5 and a heart. What did you rate this film? This was both of our first watch, by the way. I can't believe we haven't mentioned that.
That is pretty wild. I did forget to mention that. But yes, I had never seen this before. As I said before, I don't have any ties to the musical. I've seen like little bits and pieces of the famous 1998 recording that they did and released of the musical, which I know people are a big fan. And of course, going into this, I knew it was going to be bad. Partially because of that Sideways video. I don't think I understood just how even the badness was going to be across every single level.
Yeah.
Because it looks horrible. The designs of everything look horrible. The CGI looks horrible. The singing is horrible. The dancing honestly might be my least favorite part because it's just looks ugly. And of course, that involves the weird sexual movements that they do when they're literally just sitting or walking. The singing, I don't even know if I mentioned that already, but it just sounds absolutely terrible. And on top of that, every single song starts and stops so many times that they become like 5 to 6 minutes long, like each of them, genuinely. And that includes weird little like cutaways to Rebel Wilson being like, oh, I can dance like that, and dancing to like a little trap beat or whatever. And it's like, why is that here? Like everything across the board was in some ways exactly as bad as I thought it was going to be, but also even worse because it was more consistently bad than I thought it was going to be. And yet I had such a great time watching this because it was so bad. Like it's genuinely weird to me how much I enjoyed watching this, to the point where when I finished it, I was like, wait a second, something is not right. I should hate this more than I do. And that's because I loved watching just how bad this was. So honestly, I'm in complete agreement. I'm going to do the exact same thing that you did.
Nice.
I am giving this a 0.5 with a heart. I firmly approve of that. Because that's the only way to approach this film.
And I want to ask you, is this the first film you've given a 0.5 to? Because I'm pretty sure.
Oh, no.
No, on the podcast.
Oh, on the podcast, I believe it might be, honestly. Because I've obviously given other stuff 0.5s. But yeah, on the podcast, this is probably my first 0.5.
That's very exciting.
So we're hitting a new low. And I am absolutely in agreement that this is 100% worse than Megalopolis.
And I think that number is accurate too, 100% worse.
Yes. 100%.
And with that, we have reached the end of the episode. I would say a very successful episode because we both hated this. And if you hated it as much as we did, then I would encourage you to support the show on Spotify and Apple. Leave us a rating, leave us a review, leave us a comment. We always love that. And if you want to torture anyone, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and anyone who looks like they know what SoundCloud rap is.
If you want to get mad at us for forcing you to watch this movie and listen to this album so that you could enjoy this episode, you can email us directly at upcpod@gmail.com. Or if you want to disagree and tell us how amazing this album and this movie are. And of course, if you need to double check what we did give it in order to either shout at us or agree with us, you can find all our scores on our Letterboxd and our Rate Your Music pages, which are both on our Linktree. What else can you find on our Linktree? Well, you can find both our TikTok and our YouTube pages where we have been uploading some fun, special content just for you guys.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram to see what we're watching next. Next week might be a theme that we've covered before, and that theme might actually be a place.
Ooh.
So go check that right now, figure out what you're watching and listening to for next week. And on that note, we'll see you next week.
Bye.